there lovelies, welcome back to my channel. My name is Maddie, where I love to talk all things makeup, especially makeup tutorials, and today's video is a special makeup tutorial video. I am going to be doing a full face of makeup just using eyeshadow. I have here 4, if I can hold them up, well, actually 5, that I am going to be using to create this full face of makeup. Okay, so with using eyeshadow as my full face of makeup, I also grabbed my smallest brushes possible to be able to do this look with because eyeshadow pans are very, very small. First, I'm going to come in with my bronzer, and I'm going to be using my ColourPop Quad Dare to Bare, and I'm going to be using this color Gotta Do It, and really small pan here, so let's see what I've got. So I'm going to go ahead and use this brush, and I'm going to dip in there. Don't want to get too much on. It's going to be a little bit trickier to apply it, but because I have powdered my whole face, then it'll make it a little bit easier to blend as well as go in circular motions because I'm using such small brushes here. Look at that. That is looking like a bronzer. It looks so good. So I had mentioned in one of my videos recently, I think it was the halo look that I did, of how sometimes you can use eyeshadow as a blush, and I'm actually going to be using that same palette to show you because it can match your eyeshadow and everything. Look at that. That is just like a perfect bronzer match. I love this. This is so fun. It's actually like a perfect shade for me. So, ColourPop, turn this shade into a bronzer. And you have the perfect bronzer for fair tone skinned people. I'm just using kind of big swirling motions to make sure that I can really get this blended out with this really small brush. But my brush actually like fits in that pan pretty well. Normally I like to use stamping motions to get the color payoff, which I can do that now, but because the color is so condensed in such a small brush, I don't want to put too much color anywhere. There we go. We're like perfectly bronzed here. Let's come a little under the chin. And this is the wonderful thing about makeup. It's magical. Because this is a powder, I mean, it's the same as if I were to pull, my physician's formula. They're both powders. If you've seen many of my other videos, you know I use my bronzer constantly as an eyeshadow. So why can't you use your eyeshadow as a bronzer or a blush or a highlighter? It's all powder, generally made with very similar products or ingredients. So you should be able to use these universally. Bring that up a little bit more. There we go. We are all bronzed. Love it. Okay, next I'm going to come in with the Profusion Mauves palette. Mine is just the old packaging. It's in newer packaging now. And these pans are really big. I mean, if you were to take this quad that I just used, comparing the 2 pan sizes, I mean, this one is just so much bigger. So like, why couldn't you use this for a blush? So I'm going to come into the color Lovely. I'm going to grab my brush and I'm just going to kind of sweep it in there. And then I'm going to tap and also using sweeping motions to help blend it. And that is a beautiful pink color. I did bring in another eyeshadow palette because I didn't know if this was going to be like a kind of muted pink or like too muted for me and not quite bright enough. And just for funsies, we're going to dip into it. This is my Beauty Bay Berries palette. I'm actually gonna dip into this one right here. That is Bubblegum, is what it's called. And I'm gonna use the other side of my brush here because it's a flat brush. And I'm gonna be very, very light-handed with this because I think this is a very bright color. And I just wanna focus this on the apples of my cheeks. Trying to not get too much, yeah. You see how that brought a lot more life to that blush? Just a little bit here and here. I like to kind of put my blush like everywhere just to bring it all together, be cohesive. Okay, so now we've got the blush and the bronzer. I mean, it's looking perfect, guys. It's like, why don't I just use my eyeshadows all the time, right? And I'm going to, I was thinking I would dip into this ColourPop Grandeur palette, but I think that the bronzer is good enough. I actually don't need to dip into that one because it's got some warmer browns in it, but I think the brown that we used worked just fine. I'm gonna dip back into my Profusion Mauves palette, and I'm gonna use the color Opal as, wow, I'm holding that really funny, Opal as my highlighter here. I'm gonna come in with a nice small brush, because this is a really good kind of gold. Oh yeah, there we go. Sometimes it can be a little hard using eyeshadow as highlighter because it can be a little bit chunkier than a normal highlighter. But this one works great. So now I'm gonna go ahead and do my eyes. I'm gonna use my Star Wars Mandalorian, the Child palette. I'm gonna keep it pretty simple here. I'm gonna come into the shade Just Like a Tatooine, and I'm gonna use that as my transition. Just kind of put this on here. This is a beautiful green palette. Nice olive tone greens. Okay, and then I'm gonna dip into, let's see, here we go. Dip into Droid Patrol, this brown. Just to deepen up my outer corner a little bit. First tapping that in there, and then bringing it in just a little bit. Don't need too much. Okay, that side got a little bit darker, so I'm just gonna match these here. And I'm also going to bring that transition shade under my eye. Just to bring a little bit more dimension to my eye. And then I'm going to use the color Sipping Soup. It's this green shimmer. I'm going to use that all over my eyelid, just for funsies. This is actually a really pretty, like, green eyeshadow. And it's not too lime colored, it's not too bright, that it is super, super wearable. Then I'm going to come in with the color Precious Cargo. And I'm just going to put that in the corner and do a little swoop. Will be my inner corner highlight. There we go. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put on some mascara, and then we will do the lips. First, I need to brush up my eyebrows. I know I forget to do this sometimes, and my eyebrows can look kind of crazy, but The biggest reason for brushing up my eyebrows is that it really opens my eyes a lot more. It gives them a lift. Okay, now that my mascara is on, I am going to take my eyeshadow. I'm going to take this darkest brown, and that is going to be my lip liner. I'm going to take an eyeliner brush on the other side of my spoolie, dip that in there lightly, and then line my lips. So basically what I'm doing is I'm contouring my lips with an eyeshadow. And then what I'm going to do is just slightly blend it. And you see how it's already like darkening up and contouring my lips on the inside? As if like with a normal lip liner I had just shaded that in. Blend that with my finger. You know, I don't think we give our hands enough credit when we do makeup because you can do so much. I mean, if you've been watching my videos, you know I use my finger. Well, I mean, even in this video, I use my finger for putting on my eyeshadow. I use it for putting on a lipstick or lip liner. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my chapstick. This is just a regular Carmex, and I'm gonna put that in the center of my lips. Okay, so I've got it in the center of my lips. Now I'm going to take that lovely shade that we use for blush, and I'm gonna dip that in my finger. I'm gonna take my finger, really swirl it in there. And now I'm just gonna blend that with my chopstick. And you'll see, I like to kind of wipe my finger off in between, so I'm not getting my chopstick in my powder. You see how like it just brought a little bit of color to my lips? It just mixed with my chopstick. Okay, I'm gonna come in with that bubblegum shade that we also used. Ooh, that is bubblegum. I'm gonna dab that off a little bit. And I'm gonna put this in the center. Maybe I'll put a little bit more on. And there, now you have just custom made your own lipstick with your eyeshadow. So here is my full face of makeup with only using eyeshadow. You know, this was super fun to get really creative and to kind of be a little bit of a product developer with this look. And just I only took, you know, a handful of eyeshadow palettes. Could you imagine if I used my entire eyeshadow palette collection? Like the different colors and the fun looks that you could come up with. You know, if you're really into cosplay, like this is a great way to, you know, make those really fun looks. I've seen, you know, kind of like, I think of Nightmare Before Christmas? And, you know, people love to do that bridal look of the bride. I've actually never seen the movie, but I've seen the look so many times. And you put on your makeup, and cosplay makeup, I mean, it is very different to normal everyday makeup, but you can use your everyday palettes to get the contours that you want. You know, if you really want blue, use some blue eyeshadow. Powder is really the same. It uses a lot of the same ingredients. You can use it across your face. And in a pinch, you know, if I only took this little eyeshadow quad with me to travel, you know, I would already have my bronzer in there. I'm set. A little bit of, you know, eyeliner as well as eyeshadow. Like this is kind of a, you know, all in one little package, which is really, really awesome. So if you enjoyed this makeup tutorial, please give it a big thumbs up and especially subscribe so that I can keep creating